Hey friends, welcome to the 68th episode of the Sunday Knitting Society podcast. My name is Chelsea and I'm in Oklahoma City. I realized I probably need to update what I say about myself. So I am a knitter primarily, but I also do a little bit of crochet. I'm not very good at it. I spin, I sew, and I also garden. So I have lots of hobbies. The sewing is probably the most relevant because I've been doing a lot of sewing since last time. So I apologize if you really don't care for sewing. There's still knitting, but there's more sewing. So I hope you guys have had a good 2 weeks. It's been pretty good here. Our temperatures are definitely have started to go up. So we're 85 today. I think we're supposed to get into the 90s later today, or at least this week. And we're pretty much done with rain for at least the next week. We usually have a pretty, if we're gonna have rain, it's in May and June, and then we get dry and hot after that. So yay. Kind of missed the rain already. Yeah, I've had a pretty normal 2 weeks. I think once the storms are past, it was good. This week's episode's a little bit weird because it is primarily sewing with a side of knitting and a lot of acquisitions. So yeah, it's not my normal thing, but it's cool. So there's a little funny backstory to this. So my sister, I clean out my closet periodically and get rid of things I'm just not wearing. And occasionally I will find something that still has a tag on it that I never wore. I haven't done that as much lately. But every time I do that, my mom and my sister come through and just rifle through it and take what they want before I send it to Goodwill or give it to Goodwill. And they've started doing this thing where they text me if they're wearing a lot of the stuff that I gave them, and they'll say like, we're 75% Chelsea today, or 50% Chelsea today, or 100% Chelsea today. And today I almost texted them, I'm wearing 100% things I made. You can't really see it in here, but I have little shorts on, little gingham shorts, and a linen top that I made. This is the Ashton top. I think, is it by Helen's Closet? And then the Lane pants, but I modified them to make shorts. So that's a Sydney Graham pattern. But I almost texted my mom and my sister and was like 100% Chelsea. But I didn't. Yeah, so wearing some sewn objects. They're very comfy. This one is so interesting because when I first sewed this, I think I finished it the morning before a flight, and I wore it to the airport and it was gaping so bad. Like the front was like, it just felt huge. And I was kind of annoyed because I thought I'd done my bias binding pretty neat, but it just felt sloppy. And I have since modified the pattern. I usually take the straps up a little bit, or like take a little bit out of the top of the straps. But anyway, so I got home and I washed this, and then the next time I wore it, it fits perfect. So I've kind of started to take that approach that when I finish knitting or sewing something, if I'm not 100% on the fit, I wash it and dry it and then decide afterward if I like it. And it's worked. If you can't tell, I have a cold right now. I either got it from watching some little kids on Sunday, or I got it from going to the Thunder game on Monday. We won. It was fantastic. I went with a couple friends. I posted a picture on Instagram, like a video, because our nickname is Loud City, and that's what they call the top tier is Loud City. And when I watched it back later, I'm like, that doesn't sound that loud. But it was so loud. Like, I just don't know that you can convey it on video, but like my ears were ringing until the next morning when I left. It was so loud. But yeah, the next few days I started to feel kind of crummy, and yesterday was the worst. Friday, I felt like I needed a whole new head. It was just it was miserable, but I still have a little bit of a cough and a little bit of congestion, so my voice is gonna sound kind of weird. And I might have to stop to cough, sorry. if that happens a lot, I will edit that out. Okay. So, a lot of my sewing and knitting is for a trip I have coming up to Greece. I'm going in the beginning of July for a week, and I was really determined to make as many of my own things to take instead of, because I always go through this thing, I'm sure other people do too, where you feel the need to buy all new clothes for vacation. And I've tried to resist that. I'm about 50-50. So I would say at least half of what I'm bringing are things I already had, and then the other 50% are things that are new. And of that, I would say it's another 50-50. Maybe I actually need to count it. I think I've actually made more things than I've purchased, which is pretty cool. So like everything, I actually had a list on my phone of everything that I wanted to sew to take with me on this trip. And honestly, they've all turned out great. But I've also been knitting with that goal as well. And I think I mentioned last time on here that like when I looked at the palette of what I'd laid out on my guest bed, it's over here. Everything was very blue and beige and black. So those were like, that was my theme, and I had nothing outside of that. And so I really wanted to work on adding some color, and I have a couple projects that really did that. And one of them I finished literally this morning. I went to the car dealership to get an oil change this morning, and okay, this is not, sorry, I'm very tangential today. So I was due for an oil change. I wanted to get that done before I went on vacation, and I asked them to look at my tires because I am a nail magnet with my car. My previous car, I got at least 2 nails in the tires of that car in from 2018 on. And then when I bought my new car in 2020, I've gotten at minimum 5 nails or screws typically in my tire. So I've had to go to the dealership and get it patched. I have literally started keeping a portable air compressor in my car because I sometimes, like, if I'll hit a bump really hard, I think I dislodge the plug or something, and I'll get a low pressure warning on my tire. But there's one tire that's been doing it really bad, and I've looked and I have not seen any screws or any nails, but I was like, maybe a plug just is loose or something, or one of the patches came loose. I don't know, maybe they didn't seal it all the way or whatever. I have another nail in my tire. So I think my total tally at this point is 8, which is absurd. I don't know anybody else who's gotten that many nails in their tire. But anyway, so then he told me, he said, the one with the nail in it is actually the only good tire. The rest of them, the other 3, look terrible and really need to be replaced, which is great. So I ended up buying new tires this morning. Oh, hey, Lolly. Miss Lolly just turned 11. She's an old lady. Yeah. She's a cute girl. She got her cheeseburger. That's what we call cheeseburgers. That's been a tradition since she and her brother were little puppies. They got McDonald's Happy Meals for their birthday. Okay, can you go lay down? Anyway, where was I? Yeah, so I brought my knitting with me to the car dealership, and then what should have been 30 minutes to an hour ended up being 3 hours. So I actually finished and wove in ends of my Tolsta tank. So this is a pattern by Rebecca Clow, or the Crayabea. I have knit this tank before. I've actually knit all 3 versions of the tank, and I've knit one in exactly this yarn before. So this is Knitting for Olive, pure silk, held double, and it's in the blood orange colorway. I did modify all of the hems to do a knitted and then a stockinette bind off. Honestly, once I got up to these ribbing, I didn't look at the pattern. I just did what felt right. I think I had 122 stitches on this and 74 on each of these. I knew from experience that the armholes will stretch, and so I actually tried to make them smaller. I haven't tried this on yet. I mean, I tried it on once I got the shoulders it was a little snug, which I'm not thrilled about because I actually knit this one size smaller than I thought I would need because I didn't want it to be too oversized, but it's kind of a little knot. I haven't blocked it yet. So the goal is that once I get done filming, I'm gonna wash it and I'm gonna lay it outside to dry, so hopefully it'll dry quicker. But I'm hoping this stretches out a little bit. I'm really hoping I didn't make my armholes way too tight. I'm a little bit afraid that I did, but that is fixable. At least it did not take that long. But yeah, I did all of this while watching Jeopardy at the car dealership. It was great. I was actually kind of surprised that they didn't ask me to trade in my car because I get phone calls from them periodically because people, I guess they're like, we have a client who really wants exactly your car. And I would love to actually upgrade, but they don't make, I have a Subaru and I love her, but they don't make the newer models in my color. And that is actually a deal breaker for me. But anyway, I digress. So this is coming to grief with me. I just felt like this would be a really good pop of color in a very muted wardrobe. So that is my only knitting FO. I have one knitting whip and that is it. That's all. I am gonna cast something on today or tomorrow, but not quite sure yet. So this one is not real exciting. This is my sock whip. Just kind of been slowly trucking along. I need to measure and see how much more I have on this, but if it's not much, I might just finish this and cast on a new sock today. I think pretty soon I'm supposed to be getting my next Wes Anderson from Little Fox. So if that comes today, maybe I'll cast that on. I also have a really fun one from Nomadic Yarns. So I don't know, I might do that later. Or I might do that instead. So I have a lot of sewing. I'm gonna get into sewing FOs first, or SOs, before I get into acquisitions, in case you're not an acquisitions person. But first thing I want to talk about was my quilt. So first of all, y'all are amazing and so kind. When I posted this thing I'm about to show you, I was like, I had been so proud of myself because it was much harder than I thought it would be. I felt like I was doing great, and then I looked at it afterward and it was so wonky. Like, I'll see if I can put a picture up here of this. And I had posted something about like, what should I do to fix this? And then I realized I am not picking this out and starting over. It's not happening. So this is the final square. Somebody had said like bias, triangle, or diamonds are actually really hard, so good job. And I was like, thanks. I mean, they do not line up. You could see the amount of wonk in here, and I'm okay with it. Like, so what I basically did, you can see where you can see one that's a little puckered and messed up, is I went in and added, I think it was actually 4. It was this one, this one, this one, and this one. I added whole triangles because I didn't want to have to figure out half triangles or whatnot. I picked out seams and sewed these in, and then I measured, so I knew that my final triangle needed to be 14¼ inches squared. So I have one little spot here where I didn't quite get there, and I was not about to sew anything else there because I figured that's going to get caught up in the seam allowance. Sorry. Talking makes this worse. Somebody else, actually a few people had said, just give it a good press. And I was like, I had. In that picture that I sent, it had been pressed and pressed and pressed and pressed. But I did kind of go back in with my steam on my iron, and I do think it flattened out better with the steam. So this is maybe the hardest part. I don't know, because the next part's applique. And I've never done applique. I'm going to hand applique because it seems less scary than machine applique, and less, like, machine applique just seems like you could screw that up real easily. And also, I've never used that function on my machine, and I just don't 100% trust it. So we're hand appliquing. So this is, sorry, in case you don't know, so this is a Block of the Month quilt club that my great grandma and my grandma have done. And so I'm going to be the third in the family, and mine will hands down be the worst, but that's okay. I did not pick the easiest starting month, but this is the June block, and this is June Bride. So the background is intended to be kind of muted, but the bride is not. Bride is punchy. So here's my veil for my bride. And then this is the like torso, I guess. And you'll put a little head and a bouquet. And then the skirt. Is this not amazing? So very, very bright. So this I've sewn together. The other two, I think you directly applique them on. If you guys have any tips for hand appliquing, I would love them. I think what I'm gonna do, so this goes first. I think I'm actually going to kind of trace out a little bit on here with like a heat, the kind of pen that dissolves when you put an iron on it, because I don't want to have to wash this. I don't want to use something you have to wash to get the ink out. But I'm going to kind of mark at least some key points, and then I think I'm going to take a glue stick and glue it in place, at least on the middle. And I might even go through and trace a line where my like turn under seam allowance would be. That's what I'm thinking. And I'll probably actually start with down in here, because this will be covered, and so if it turns out horrible, then at least it's covered. But I'll start with this one, and then let's see, then the skirt goes on top of that. Like, let's see if I can, like, what do they call those, felt boards? That's what I feel like right now. And then the bodice for the torso, and then the last two bits will be the face and the bouquet. So that's actually today and tomorrow's goal. I think I'm gonna go, I have to go do my groceries today anyway, so I think I'm gonna stop by Michael's and get a hoop, because I think that will also help. Somebody at my work called it an applique hoop, and I was like, I think they're cross-stitching hoops, or embroidery hoops, but I'm okay calling it an applique hoop, because that's how I was planning to use it, just so I don't have to like worry about my fabric getting out of place. Like, I'll just have it set. So I don't know, but yeah, if any of you have appliqued before and have some good tips for beginners, I am all ears. I think where to put this so it doesn't, let me put it out of the way so it doesn't get squished or dog hair all over it. Okay, guys, I have a lot of sewing FOs. Some of them are going to be kind of hard to see on here, so I am going to try them on and do some B-roll and I don't know if I'll put videos or if I'll just put pictures. I'll probably just put pictures, because it makes the file size smaller. So the second piece that I wanted to do to add some punch of color almost became a disaster, but I think I saved it from the claws of defeat. So this is a Skyline top, and I made it, sorry, it's a little unwieldy. So this is a modification of the Skyline dress. Sydney Graham has a video on YouTube where she talks through making a top. And what she said is, for the top with the peplum, she keeps the bodice the same as in the pattern, but then just cuts the top tier of the skirt to be 6 inches. So that's what I did. And then I got it on and realized that is way too short for me. Way too short for me. So in my wisdom, I thought, well, I'm just gonna add like a big thick bias binding at the bottom. But then something about my math didn't math, because I only ended up with like an inch. Maybe an inch and a half. No, it's an inch. Also, I actually did it the whole first time and realized that I had this bit on the outside, and it actually annoyed me. So I picked it all out, just turned it inside out, picked it all out and redid it. But when I went to sew it down, I sewed it on the back, like from the underside, so I could see where I was going. But like some of them, it didn't catch, which it doesn't have to, because this is already sewed down, but somehow I ended up with a pucker there. I don't know. I just decided to leave it. I thought about going back through and tacking that down from the front so it at least looked flat, but then I just realized I don't care, and I was really tired of working on this. I'd already spent so much time and effort on it, and I was annoyed, and so I gave up. But what I will say about doing this project now, this is my 4th time doing this, I've gotten really good at bias binding. Like, can we just appreciate how neat and lovely my bias binding is? Like, look at that. I actually find it enjoyable to do as well. I don't so much like folding the bias tape. Like, I don't enjoy the ironing part to make it. It's not the worst, but it's not my favorite part. My favorite part, honestly, is like clipping it all in place and then sewing it. It's really fun. I like it. But this ended up, it is a little short for me, but I do think it'll still work. And it's a cute casual top. I can wear it with, like, honestly, I could wear it with these shorts. And these are just some little black and white gingham, but I'm also bringing a navy blue linen short and some like beige linen shorts. So I still think this would look cute with all of that, just to keep me from being too beige. Okay, so that's the first thing. Then I actually made a Skyline dress, and this one is going to require B-roll or something because it's just hard to see. So this is some double gauze that I had. And so last time I think I had mentioned that like it was all flat and I thought double gauze had to be like crinkly. Well, if you wash it, it becomes crinkly. It's a marvel. What I've learned about this is double gauze is so soft. Let me stand up, see if you can at least kind of see it from here. Double gauze is so soft. It's lovely to wear. It is a pain in the tuchus to sew with, especially to make bias tape with. So like I did the whole thing and then I looked and this had just completely dissolved and like frayed out. So I had to go back in and like reinforce it with a whole bunch of rows of thread. I've had to reinforce a few different areas on this. It's such a fragile fabric that wasn't my favorite part. But other than that, I think it turned out really good. I love this print. It's just really pretty. I kind of wish I could have made it reversible because I think that's pretty too. But it's got serging lines on the inside because it's a gathered skirt, a 2-tier skirt. But I haven't worn this in the wild yet. I probably should because that's how I figure out if I like things or not. So I kind of figure out if I need to like go tweak anything, if I even can, or if I like noted, like it wasn't until I almost thought I saw another rip and I was gonna be like, you've got to be kidding me. But yeah, I hadn't even noticed the little frayed bit until I wore it a little bit, but I mean I barely wore it around my house. So maybe I'll wear this on Sunday or something just to kind of give it a little outing. But I love this pattern. I imagine myself honestly wearing this pattern a lot, even in the winter, because the little bow in the back, you can just untie the bow part to keep the knot, tuck the tails inside the dress, and then put a sweater over it. I've already done that at work one time and it worked perfectly. So like, I imagine myself wearing these year round and they're so comfy. Okay, I've got three more sewing SOs. So this one, I still need to go through and cut out threads. I haven't done a good thread check on this. So the Ashton top has become my go-to. I can whip one of these out so quick. It's basically, you have a front and a back, you do bust darts, you sew the two pieces together, add bias tape, and then you basically add a big bias tape on the hem. And it's really delightful. But I thought, I'd made the trapeze dress, which is a Merchant and Mills pattern. And while I like it, I'm annoyed. The first time I did it, my bias tape was not very good. And my bias binding was pretty wonky. And it was set too far out. So the shoulders, like the neckline was just too wide. And I didn't love that, but I do love the, excuse me, the way this sits on me. So I thought I could probably hack the Ashton dress just to make it basically, or hack the Ashton top and just extend the length and make it into a dress. So I did. And this is definitely colorful and punchy, but it is also blue. But it's coming to grace with me. I have already worn this. I love it. Obviously missed a thread and I need to go back and cut that. I'll put a video or a photo of me wearing it. I did keep it a little bit long, which I might go back in and hem that a little bit, but it is, again, it's like, it's bias tape on the bottom, and so that's actually not the easiest thing to fix. So it doesn't really bother me that much. And honestly, if I wash it, it might shrink a little bit. I haven't washed this one yet, but it's, I forgot what these were. So this, I think I don't remember where the double gauze came from. I think that was U-Fiber, I think, but I could be wrong. The two linens were both from Matchy Matchy. Their cloud linen is my favorite. It is so, so soft. Like buttery, no itch whatsoever. So I love this. Just need to wash it. I didn't put pockets in this because I didn't feel like it. You could, it wouldn't really be that hard. I just didn't want to. So okay, this next one, this is my last garment that I sewed, and this is the one I am legitimately the most proud of. I made a swimsuit cover up. It's a hack of the Donny shirt. So I think I've shown you guys my Donny shirt that I made before. I hope I did. Did I? Yeah, I for sure did. So that one was just a good practice, honestly. I'm so proud of this. So the last time I did it, they tell you to use interfacing on the collar. I had the wrong kind of fusible interfacing, and it was like plastic. It was like, when I washed it, it actually melted and deformed. So now it's completely unwearable. But I didn't like that. And I kind of thought, if this is going to be like a light swimsuit kind of thing, I don't need a real crisp collar. I can deal with like a flimsy collar. So there's no lining in this. What I was going to say. So when I bought this fabric, I still haven't fully learned how to like look at descriptions of fabric. And so I didn't know how thin it was. And I got it and it was like, it's pretty sheer. Like, I don't know if you can see my hand through it. So yeah, it's probably too sheer to make a dress out of. But I'd been kind of debating what I wanted to do. And then I finally was like, what if I hacked the Donny shirt and made a dress out of it? And I made it out of this fabric and I made it my swimsuit cover up. So I actually searched for Donny shirt dress hacks, and there are several out there, but they all have a gathered skirt. And I didn't want a gathered, I just wanted it straight. And so I just did the Ashton hack, and I knew kind of how wide I needed it to be. And so we just did it. I basically, where there's the line in the pattern that says like shorten or lengthen, I lengthened by 15 inches. And what's interesting is what that actually did was it gave me a high-low, because my back ended up being like 2 inches longer. This pattern still hurts my brain. So this collar is the part that is the most confusing to me, because I don't even know if you can see it on here. You kind of can't. So you see that curve at the bottom? When you're attaching that, you're basically attaching a concave to a convex to a concave and making them line up, and that it just doesn't make sense to me. And I also had another instance where it started to pull out and fray, so I basically went back and did a whole bunch of stitches just to try to tack it down. I think I did that at both sides. Yeah, I did. And this one still kind of looks bad. Oh well, it's a swim cover up. But yeah, so you do that, and then at one point you have to like, you have two back pieces and you have to like sandwich things in and not get the, and it's so slow going, but I am actually so proud of it because I did it right, even though it was hurting my brain. I did have to, like, I got my sleeves in and then realized that I had actually not tacked in like one of the whole back pieces, so I had to go back in and fix that. But otherwise it looks really good. So like my back gathers are cute. When I sewed up the sides, I had tried this on and kind of pinched at the sides to make sure it would fit. And I was a little bit worried that once we got to like my full hip, it was going to maybe be a little snug. It wasn't. But I made the executive decision to leave a 10-inch slit at the bottom. And so like I serged the inside, and then I just did a very, very like super skinny hem on the slits. So it is so cute. I'm like insanely proud of this. Honestly, this one, as far as construction goes, was the hardest thing I've ever made, or most difficult thing I've ever made. And I think it turned out looking so good. And I just think like for the most part, my swimsuits are pretty like black and navy, but I have one red one. But I just figured this would be a cute way to like punch up the outfit and make it super cute. And it's cotton. This is also from Matchy Matchy. They're apparently my go-to fabric store. Okay. Let me take a drink because I feel like I'm racing through this. My last project is also one I'm incredibly proud of. So I bought a new Kindle for this trip. I had an old Kindle. Actually, here's what's really bad. So I bought a Kindle when I was like in college, I think. So it's quite old. It still works, but it is like, it's slow. And it doesn't hold as good of a charge anymore. But when I first bought it, I bought this case for it just off Etsy. I don't know if you can see. It's Rogue Theory. I don't know if they still make cases or not, but it's just a little pouch for the Kindle. And with the bigger old Kindle, it fits perfectly. But I'll show you my new Kindle. I got the little green Kindle, and it is quite small. So like it definitely fits. But it's a little too big. And this really isn't my style anymore. This wasn't exciting me. So I had bought some fabric from Spoonflower with the intent of making myself a tote bag, which I'm still planning to make, but y'all, it is like giving Tomato Girl summer. Is that not the most fun? Like, I can't even with this fabric. It's so much better than I thought it would be. So I bought 2 yards of this because I had no idea how much fabric I would need to make a tote bag. The goal was to make a tote bag for Flock. I might end up making one this week. I don't know. But so I had all this fabric, and then I ordered some other fabric, and with it I ordered some muslin. And this is a pretty heavy one. It's 3.5 ounces per yard squared, or 118 grams GSM, grams per square meter. But when it got here, it's a thick, it feels stiff. Like this thing has no drape. But I had some of that had come in, and I don't know what I'd plan to do with it, but I figured actually this is perfect for lining. So one night this week, I just decided this is the night I'm sewing myself a Kindle cover. So I cut out 2 rectangles. I actually wrote down the pattern in case anybody else wants it. This is not professional by any means, but I think what I ended up doing was like 15 inches long. This one ended up being a little too short, so I needed 6 inches wide. I think this one might have been 6, I don't know, but 6 inches wide by 15 inches long. And I did 2 of them, so I had one in that fabric, one in the tomato fabric, one in this. I sewed everything but like this little section, turned it inside out, pressed it, then folded it in on itself and sewed up the sides, and Bob's your uncle. And look at it, it's so cute. I even put a little tag. I had one of these. I actually had another one that says make good shit, but my 7-year-old niece comes to my house now, and she can read, and she likes to repeat words that then my 4-year-old niece thinks are hilarious. So I was like, I don't need to teach her cuss words yet. So yeah, so this has been through a couple iterations because I sewed it all the first time. I think I made it 7 inches wide, and I had like a full inch, like 1/2 inch on either side. Like it was way too loose. So I went back and actually cut out, like picked out all my stitches, took one of the edges off, re-sewed it, turned it inside out, and then now it's a little snug, but it fits it, and this Kindle is not going anywhere. Okay, well, I can't do it that way, but it fits. It even has a little bit at the top. It's perfect. It's perfection. It's not real thick, like I didn't put any cushion in it, and I kind of debated putting like a foam layer in there, or even just like a thicker interfacing inside, and I could have done that, but it's not really for like impact protection, it's for scratch protection, and that's what this does. Which, okay, I'm gonna be real OCD, and if you put it in upside down or like put it in the other way, the indents, I like the way the indents work, and so it has kind of a curve, and I like this part being the front, so I've flipped it. So sorry. I'm OCD. Very much so. Okay, so as far as the tote bag goes, I figured, okay, tote bags can't be that difficult, right? Like, I've sewn a Donny shirt, dress. How hard could a tote bag be? But then I kept looking at patterns and like free patterns and tutorials, and I knew what I wanted, and none of them were what I wanted. What I wanted was the flock tote from last year, but my own. So I took my flock tote from last year and I turned it inside out, because this is the person I now am, that I have to inspect sewn objects to figure out how they're made so I can make them on my own. So I think oh gosh, I wasn't actually anticipating talking about this. Now that I've picked it up, I don't know what I was thinking. Sorry guys. So I want a zipper. I've never sewn a zipper. I need to figure out how to use my zipper foot. So I need to buy a zipper, but I figure I would at least use the dimensions of this bag. But it looks like the zipper part was sewn on top. So you make the zipper part separately and then sew it to the bag, or at least make the sides of the zipper part separately and then sew them to the bag. And then it has a cotton webbing strap, which I will also do. I don't want to make my straps. I want cotton webbing because I think they're more comfortable. So those are then tucked in and sewn on top. This part is just the top bit folded. So I would fold it over, and then all those layers. And then there's the interior pocket, which I would of course do, and that's just 2 pieces sewn together. And then the bottom is literally just the fabric folded in on itself. So it's one long strip that you would do like one end, finish the other end, fold it all up, and then sew up the sides. And Bob's your uncle, you're done. Oh, I've said that twice now. I don't ever say that. I just watched the Grocery Girls podcast, latest podcast last night, so I think that's why I'm saying that so often. But yeah, so we'll see. I've become like very obsessive with sewing lately. I definitely want to knit, but like sewing is just so instant gratification compared to knitting. Like I think most of these projects that I've sewn, I started around the same time that I started that red tank top that I knit. And I think I have sewn 5 objects in the time it took me to knit 1 tank top, which is crazy. But I don't know, I'm out of things. Like, I've already made all the things on my checklist and I don't have any other things to make. So now I'm kind of like, what am I gonna do with my time? Okay, so one thing I forgot, because it was sitting down here and I just kind of forgot about it. So I last time had shown you guys a dress that I'd stained and tried to over dye, and it didn't go well. And so I had asked for some advice on like what to do with it, and somebody, I don't remember who you were, but I love your advice, said unpick it and use it to make pattern pieces. Genius. So I spent like a week unpicking all of the seams on this thing. So I have the pattern pieces to make this dress myself, which is honestly just entirely brilliant because I didn't want to spend any more time. Ooh, I'm getting something. FedEx. I didn't want to spend any extra time trying to dye this. I didn't enjoy that process. I don't foresee myself ever being a yarn dyer. But I did, so I put like little notes on here. So like this is the front left, and then I have the front right, the back. I even like labeled my bias tape, even though they're all the same length. And I took little videos of as I was unpicking it, if I noticed like construction that was different than what I thought it would be. So I made a note of how I would need to like pay attention and construct that later. It took forever. I basically sat on the couch and just picked the seams while I watched TV. I actually, I name everything. So I've named my seam ripper. His name is Horace. Horace and I are friends. But yeah, I have all the pieces of it in this little zipper thing. This is how I like to store my patterns. I get these at Target. They're in like the filing section. They come in packs of 2. And I got a big metal tote. And it fits these in it perfectly. So all my paper patterns that I've cut out go in here. I do have manila folders too. But I like that these have a zip on top. So this is obviously like the biggest one because it has actual fabric in it, but most of them just have paper. And so it's just like I can keep all the little pieces together. And I also bought some labels that I can stick on the front with what's in them, but I've gotten lazy. And what I typically try to do is just make sure that like the name of the pattern piece is one of the pieces that's up against the side. But that's probably actually something I'll do this week because that dress was my favorite. It was the most wearable dress I own. I have a few others in that style, but that one I think fit me the best. And so now I have the pieces to make my own, which is perfect. So I need to actually, maybe that's what I'll do today is trace that out onto some tracing paper. Although I bought a big roll of Swedish tracing paper and I tried to get one that was like a really long roll and the quality is like tissue paper. It's terrible. I do not enjoy it. The one I had before that was narrower was thicker, and I think I need to buy new and get, maybe, I wonder if, I don't know if Michael's will have tracing paper, but I can look. Honestly, I'd be happy with butcher paper at this point. Just something a little thicker. Actually, that would be a good idea for tracing out a pattern. I don't know. I'll have to look. Okay, so that is all for my projects. The rest I have are acquisitions. So if you're not into that, I appreciate that. I will see you back. I'm probably gonna be a week late next time because I will be in Greece. I will not be doing a podcast in Greece. I will be sitting by the ocean or the pool and with lots of sunscreen on and my Kindle and maybe some knitting, but I will not be filming for, I might get you guys some little, maybe I'll make a little recap video reel thing, but I will not be talking to the camera. Okay, so I got some new fabrics this week from a new company, or a company that's new to me. They're not a new company. So the company is Core Fabrics, and they're based in the US. I don't remember where. But they had a European linen. It's a mid-weight European linen, and I got it in 2 colors. So this color and this color are quite similar. But that's okay, because I love this color. So I think they had it in yards, or did they have it in meters? They had it in meters. Now that I'm thinking about this, is this a US brand? I don't actually remember. But I didn't have to pay tariffs on it. But yeah, so this is 3 meters of a mid-weight linen. It's a pretty hefty linen. It's also very soft. It's not as soft as the matchy, but it's still really nice. And I got matching thread for it too, which is great. And they do like a recycled thread, which is pretty cool. The second color is my favorite. I'm so pumped about this. Ah! It's so pretty. It's just like light and cheerful. This, I actually, for both of these, I see myself making that linen dress that I took the pieces apart on. I think both of these would just be absolutely gorgeous. And totally wearable dresses for me. Like, oh, this one, just, maybe that's what I'll do this week. Ooh. I don't know. I can at least cut things out. I kind of like doing my sewing in stages. So like one day is the day I wash all my fabrics. The next day I cut out all my pieces and kind of stack them all in a nice little pile. And then when I'm ready, I come and I sew them. So, I don't know. There is part of me that wants to maybe try making this dress the first time in a fabric that's not as, like, I'm not going to do this one first because I want to perfect it before I make it out of this one. Or at least maybe not perfect it, but like, at least work out some of the kinks before I try to sew with this. So that's the only sewing acquisition. So I'm going to end with the most exciting one. So I have 2 yarn acquisitions. One of these is coming on vacation with me. So I bought some more Knitting for Olive pure silk. This is the Dove Blue colorway. I just thought that was it felt very Grecian. I really want to work on a fingering weight tee on this trip, and I've been like waffling on which one I want to make, and then it hit me, the plain yoke tee that I made in the DK weight, they have a fingering weight. I knew about it. I already bought it. And I love this pure silk, and so I figured that's actually what I'm going to start to take with me on the plane. I have very long flights, so my flight out, I'll probably sleep most of the flight out, but it's still 11 hours, I think, and then the flight home is 12. And usually I try to stay awake for most of the flight home because then I can crash when I get home and I kind of get better. Like, jet lag coming back home is always so much worse than jet lag going out there. But I got 6 balls of this. I got it from the Mercery. So I think this is going to be a light project, and I can, like, I don't know if I'll finish it or not. I guess I don't know how much I'm going to knit when I'm there. Because it is going to be hot. But I also know, like, I haven't in a long time just laid by a pool and read for hours at a time, so I don't know how capable I am of that. So I'm going to need to have my knitting project. But the other nice thing is, like, if this gets wet, I don't care. It'll be fine. It's a plant-based fiber. Or I guess technically it's not. It is actually made by an animal. But, anyway. So that's that. And the last one is a pre-order. I'm very excited about it. Honestly, I got 8 skeins, and I like to do this thing where I like pull one out of the bag, like one at a time, and kind of surprise myself. And every time I was like, like, it just kept getting better. So I ordered from the Hello Stella. It was a I don't even remember what the, I don't remember what it was heirloom collection. But I've admired her yarn for a while. I've never purchased any. And this stuff is pretty rustic. So what I got was a worsted weight. She had 3 different bases you could order from. I got the cream base. It's a 2-ply, 4 ounce, it's 113 grams, it's 220 yards, and it's woolen spun. So I think there was only one color I didn't get. Maybe I got them all. I think I got them all. Are you guys ready for this? Okay, so the first one is Witch Hazel. This is like butter yellow, which is the thing right now. It is a little bit more gray in real life. It's showing up a little bit more like glowy, but it is a little darker. The next one is Yarrow. I know, right? Like, you gotta be kidding me. It's amazing. Okay, then the next one is evergreen. Love. Let's see, where do we want to go from here? Let's do this one. This is bluegrass. Beautiful. So we got like, let's see if I can hold all these. This will be funny. This one is maybe my favorite. This is Forget Me Not. I mean, I have a theme clearly right now, and it's this like royal blue. So, okay, next one is, this one was one that when I pulled it out of the bag, I was like, this is cedar. It's like a golden brown. Oh, it's so pretty. So there's that. Okay, we got two more. Okay, then we have Rambler, which is this really pretty kind of variegated pink. Sorry, the sun is, we're playing a little bit of the sun. And then the last one is, I don't know how to pronounce this, Gum. But oh my gosh, guys, this is so beautiful. I don't know what I'm gonna make with it. I think I'm gonna make a striped sweater. Oh, like I just can't. I can't. It's so pretty. But like I definitely have enough yarn to make a whole sweater out of this. Like no question. I've got 8 skeins of a worsted weight yarn. Like for sure gonna be able to make something gorgeous out of it. I just don't know what yet. So I mean, I could just do something really simple. I kind of thought about, oh, I forgot what it's called, or the designer, but it's a big one recently, but it's got like the stripes, but then it changes the stripe sequence throughout it, and then the arms too. I can't remember what it's called, but and that probably wasn't the best description. But yeah, I mean, I could even just do a very basic sweater and do the striping all on my own, but I do want to use like all of those in a sweater, and I don't think I want to do like color block, like chunks of it. I think I want them to be skinnier stripes that like alternate throughout. Probably won't do them in rainbow order. I'll probably mix them up, I think, but hopefully as we get into fall, there'll be more like cool patterns that come out like that somebody else can do the thinking for me. I think that's it. That's all we got for today. So when I plan for a trip, I put all the clothes I want to bring on my guest bed and kind of line it up. And then periodically I kind of go through, and I start this at least 2 weeks in advance, sometimes longer. It also kind of depends if I'm gonna have people staying at my house, because I don't want to have to move it all. But I'm only gonna be gone a week for Greece, and I don't need to overpack, but I've like really struggled to rein it in on this, and it's also gotten to the point that there's so much on this bed that I'm having a hard time seeing it. So I bought myself a garment rack. I don't know where it's going. There is no room on the side of the bedroom. I need to, like, there's a whole section that just needs cleaned out, and maybe this will just motivate me enough to clean it out. But I'm gonna hang everything up. I think that will also help prevent wrinkles. But I think it's just gonna let me visualize it a little bit better, so that I can like have a better idea what I'm actually bringing with me on the trip. Because I really don't like overpacking, but I've also had experiences where I get on a trip and realize that like something I thought was gonna work really doesn't work, and I'm kind of like, so it's just, or I end up re-wearing something. Like my mom and I went to London several years ago, and I didn't check the forecast at all. Like, what was I thinking? And I got over there and I had a whole bunch of t-shirts and shorts, and it turns out it was really cold the whole time we were there. And I had a weekender sweater. It was my first weekender sweater. It's too big, but I wore it every single day because it was the warmest thing I owned. And if I had like planned better, I would have more clothes to wear, but I didn't. So literally every picture from that trip, I'm wearing the weekender sweater, which my mom now has it, so I have a new one. But yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do today, is hook up or like put together my garment rack and kind of organize things so that I can make sure I have enough clothes for vacation, but I'm not like crazy overpacking. And then, yeah, we're like in the final stretch. I've got my mani-pedi booked. I've got my spray tan booked because I don't want to be this white in Greece. But when I've tried to do tans myself, like self-tanner, it ends up streaky. And I actually do not tan well. Like if I'm out enough, I will tan like gradually over time. But if I try, I'm like just determined I'm gonna go out and like get a tan, I either freckle, I burn, or I break out eczema or like a heat rash. So we're just gonna go the fake route and the cancer-free route. So I will look tan at least when I go to Greece. But yeah, that's all for me. I hope you guys have a really good, probably 3 weeks. We'll see how industrious I am. If I decide to come back next week, I probably won't though. Because I just don't think I'll have that much unless I decide to sew myself an entirely new wardrobe. But yeah, I will see you guys back in 3 weeks. I hope you have a fantastic 3 weeks. I hope you get some good time outside. That you get good weather wherever you are. You get some time with the people you love. And you get a time to move your body, or a chance to move your body. Movement is so good for us, even if it's just a little bit. It's just good for our mental health. But anyway, I'll see you guys back in 3 weeks. Bye.